what if I could live my life as it would have been if I had come from a better path?
You're watching the Spotlight Network, starring Hollywood's newsman, Logan Crawford.
They now believe a single member.
He works with TV and film legends. And now, Logan's shining the spotlight on the world's top emerging authors and creators.
International were abducted.
This is Spotlight with Logan Crawford, streaming on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire TV.
I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on Spotlight, we're diving into a haunting new novel that blends psychological suspense, supernatural intrigue, and emotional resilience. We're talking to a terrific author. Her name is Gail McGuire, and she delivers a chilling yet thought-provoking story in Remember What I Told You, a novel of supernatural suspense with themes of trauma, visions, and the blurred lines between madness and mysticism. The author captivates readers with a page-turner that asks, what if your deepest fears also held the truth? We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today on Spotlight. We thank the team at Prime 7 Media for helping us put her in the spotlight today. And we ask viewers like you to support authors like her by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing her amazing book. The links are below this interview. Gail, thanks so much for joining us here today.
Thank you so much for having me, Logan.
Great to have you on the show. You've done great work on this book. Tell us a little bit about the inspiration to write Remember What I Told You.
Well, these books, Remember What I Told You is book 2 of a supernatural suspense series. They're written to be enjoyable standalone as well, but they're set in Idaho, where I was born and raised. And they're set in the 1970s, which I also lived through, which adds conflict and, all the turmoil of those times into the stories. And actually, I had, as a young person, a very profound experience that set the idea in my mind. And that is, I came from a broken home and went through all that difficulty. I managed to get a technical degree and a job at a national laboratory in Idaho. But I was a single mom, started out at an entry-level job in computer operations and worked all kinds of shift work, day shift, grave shift, swing shift. And looking back on it, I don't even know how I managed to do it. When did I find time to sleep? That kind of thing. And it was very hard. But after a couple of years of that, maybe 3, I got a job as a software developer, more aligned to my training. And it really kicked off my professional career and things got better. And as I got my feet on the ground in that job, I was asked to train a new employee. And this gal came in straight from college, and she was a sweetheart, came from a great family. And as I was talking to her, I had this really moving experience and realization that if my family would have held it together, if I would have come from the trappings of a good home, I too might have skipped all of that craziness I went through to get to where I am now that she just walked into. So it was just a moment in my youth that I had a really moving, realization. And then there were a couple of books that inspired me. Richard Bach is famous for Jonathan Livingston Seagull, that book. He also wrote a book called One, and it explored the idea of what if you could go forward and talk to your older self? Or what if you could go back and talk to your younger self? How would that change the trajectory of your life? And that combined with that experience I had was really like wow for me. And then another book that inspired me, it's a very different story, is a book called The Life Before Her Eyes. And it's a very different story. It's two young 17-year-old girls. One is named Diane. They're in a high school bathroom in a high school event, and they're accosted by a shooter. And the shooter makes them choose which one he will kill. And then the book juxtaposes young Diane's life into her 40-year-old self as a wife and a mother, and then her life starts kind of getting kind of wonky. And then the author really hits the reader with a bomb that really changes everything you know about Diane's um, destiny. And some readers took that to be kind of a cheap trick, but I loved it. I loved that it made my jaw drop open and it made me just stop and think and really work through what, that concept. And so those kind of things I think really inspired me.
Wonderful, wonderful. And so the first book is called What If I Told You, right?
Mhm.
Okay, and this is
Yes,
the
the first
second
is
book.
What If I Told You?
Give us an overview of the storylines in the books.
Well, sure. Um, so these books ask the provocative question, kind of as I've set up here, what if I could live my life as it would have been if I had come from a better path? And maybe the grass isn't greener on the other side. Um, what if I told you begins with Helene, who goes by Laney Hagan, and she comes from a broken home. Certainly, a lot of my life is infused in these books, and she sees her dreams die again and again, and she fights on, but she longs for a better life, and she she gets to where success is just within her grasp, and she's in a terrible accident that puts her in a coma. And in this coma state, she has a spiritual encounter with an angel. And this angel offers her uh, inexplicable choice. And she chooses to live the life that she would have had if, right? And that sets forward Helene's life, which is happening in parallel. And Helene's life has all the trappings of success and happiness, but she starts to have these haunting yearnings and these intense visions that she just can't understand. And these two lives begin to intersect. And Helene and Lainey's uh, faltering grasp on reality because of it really binds their destinies. And remember what I told you, Helene is seeking psychiatric treatment um, to recover from the trauma she suffered at the hands of her murderous ex-husband. And she still is having these um, cryptic psychic encounters and communications from her alternate self. And these clairvoyant journeys that she has is starting to help her understand the makings of her split destiny. She's starting to get a grasp on it. But things go really wrong when her mystical encounters start to collide with her psychiatric treatment. And her friends and her loved ones are really working to pull her through this, but they discover that something even darker is threatening Helene. And as Helene continues to work with her alternate self, who is trying to help her, we wonder, are her visions true or are they madness?
Very, very cool. Such a great premise, such great characters, such great settings. Have you envisioned this as a series of films or a TV series at all?
I have I mean, they're unique. It's a
Yeah,
unique concept, I think. And I've had a number of reviewers who thought it would be a good movie or a good series as well.
yeah. Well, we'll keep our
Yeah.
fingers crossed that somebody in Hollywood picks up your books and says, hey, let's turn this into a screenplay. Let's turn it into a film or a series of films. I think that would be wonderful. Now, I understand you never ever dreamed about being an author, but you kept on getting pointed in that direction by people, including a psychic. Tell us about that.
Yeah. Well, the first book I wrote is a childhood memoir. It's called Raised on Freedom. And I just had an amazing childhood. I mean, it had its dark points for sure. It's just, the times and the situation I grew up in was so great. It was so fun. And I had told those stories to my kids and grandkids, and they long encouraged me to write a book about it.
Mm.
And then in my professional career, I did a lot of business writing and also got a lot of encouragement to write from coworkers and that kind of thing. And then at one point, I saw a psychic here in Las Vegas. I don't do that often, but she sounded interesting to me. And I went to her and she told me, you are going to write a book. And I want to be around to read it. Unfortunately, she passed, but I did produce, after I retired in December of 21, I wrote Raised on Freedom, the childhood memoir.
That's
And
wonderful.
yeah, it was really fun. It was fun because um, after I put the structure and put my memories together and got a manuscript together, I was able to share it with the friends that are in the book. We're still in touch. We've known each other since we were 5 years old, and they were able to add to it and correct my memories, and it was really interactive and fun.
That
Yeah.
sounds great. It's funny, you grow up when you did, when I did, we're raised on freedom. The kids today are going to be raised on what? Cell phones and iPads? I
Yeah,
mean, it's
sad.
almost sad. I mean,
Yeah.
taking your bike everywhere, hiking through the woods with your friends, taking
Yes.
untold adventures overnight. You tell your friend,
Yes.
Mom, I'm sleeping at Timmy's house. Timmy, I'm sleeping at Logan's house. And you do whatever you
Yes.
want. And
Hmm.
today, kids are so controlled and tracked, and they have Apple tags in their shirts.
Yeah, well, just the experience of waking up in the morning and going, well, I could do anything.
Yeah,
What are
exactly.
we going to do? And you
Right.
go out and you build a tree house, or hop on your horse and ride the
Yeah.
hills, or it was an amazing time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mom, I'm going out to play. And you'd run outside, you'd meet the neighborhood kids, and like you said, you'd be building a go-kart, you might be climbing trees, you might explore the woods, you know.
Yep.
It,
Yeah,
it's amazing, amazing. Well, that
absolutely.
book sounds like it'd be almost a great movie, or would be a great movie as well, sort of like what's the one that the Stephen King wrote where the kids find the dead body in the woods?
Oh, yes, yes.
I can't remember the name, but we all
Oh,
know the movie I'm talking about. Yeah.
yeah.
But
Stand by Me.
Stand By Me, there you go.
Yeah.
That there are those great adventures that were had when we
Hmm.
weren't so tracked by electronics and so forth. Are you working on a book right now? Are you working on anything right now?
Yes, I am. So I produced my fourth book, A Matter of Providence, and published it in July. And I took a little break, but now I've started writing the third book in the supernatural suspense series, and I'm excited about it because it's going to be written from the point of view of the antagonist.
Wonderful. Wonderful. That's
Yeah,
exciting. Well, you're the busiest woman in show business, which is wonderful. You're a very prolific writer at this point. And
thank you.
the book we've been talking about today is just sensational. It's called Remember What I Told You. It's the sequel to another book in the series, and more are coming, which is wonderful as well. Gail McGuire invites us into a world where fear, hope, and the supernatural intertwine in unforgettable ways. Gail, thank you so much for joining me here today on Spotlight.
Thank you so much for having me, Logan. It was wonderful to talk to you.
Wonderful talking with you as well. To the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time on Spotlight.